I call the Reidsville Planning Board meeting today, March 19th, 2025, to order. We do roll call. You first? Or roll call?
Present.
Tamar Lipscomb present.
Cindy Scarborough present.
Present.
James Motley present.
All right, so let's look at the minutes from January, since we did not have a meeting last month. Is there any corrections or issues with the minutes from the last meeting?
Madam Chairman, I'll make a motion that we accept and meet the minutes as presented.
Is there a second?
A second.
All in favor? To accept that minutes? Aye. Sorry. All right, so the first item on our agenda today is a memorandum. I'll go back to this. An item for consideration is consideration of a zoning ordinance text amendment request to remove the special use permit standards for townhome developments. Is that good enough, or do you want me to read the whole paragraph, sir?
That's up to you.
I think that's fine. And Jason, is that all right? Yeah, I mean, just that's basically what we're talking about. Did you like to present, please?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, members of the board. Staff is petitioning to amend several sections in the zoning ordinance pertaining to what are currently referred to as townhomes, and also update some terminology and standards for single unit attached dwellings. So townhomes is another term for single family attached dwellings. That's what we typically call them in planning and zoning in 2025, or single unit attached. We just did that to kind of match what the ordinance currently calls single family detached, just to make sure that it's aligning with each other. So there's basically 6 distinct parts to this text amendment. Part 1 amends Article 5, Section 3, special uses in the zoning ordinance to remove the special use permit requirements for single family, single unit attached dwellings in the residential agricultural 20 district, or RA20, residential 20 or R20, residential single family 12 or RS12, in all the 3 of those zoning districts. So currently they're allowed with a special use permit. The first part of this would repeal that requirement and make it a by right use. Part 2 amends Article 2, Section 1, definitions of the zoning ordinance to remove townhomes and then rename it as single unit attached dwelling, with the definition for single unit attached dwelling as the current one. So there's no change to the definition, it's just changing the title. So single unit attached dwellings are defined as let's see, 2 or more units intended for owner occupancy where ownership of the land beneath each unit runs with the unit, where units and the individually owned lands on which they rest do not meet conventional lot requirements for street frontage and yard sizes, and where walls between units are constructed in accordance with the North Carolina State Building Code requirements. All such projects shall conform to the density requirements of the district in which the development is located unless otherwise specified in the ordinance. Part 3 removes all mentions of townhomes and townhouse development, which is found throughout the ordinance, to single unit attached dwelling. So that's just terminology changes. Part 4 amends Article 5, Section 2, table of permitted uses of the zoning ordinance to replace dwellings townhomes with dwellings single unit attached. Again, mirroring single unit detached. So to be allowed by right in those previously mentioned zoning districts, and also adding them to the office and institutional zoning district. So that's expanding them. We do allow single family detached by right in O&I, so this kind of just mirrors that. So that's just kind of making it on even ground as a use. Part 5 amends Article 6 amends Article 5, Section 4, Table of Area, Yard, and Height Requirements to list the dimensional requirements for single-unit attached dwellings and remove all mentions of townhomes. So that amends the Table of Area, Yard, and Height, which is the dimensional, your setbacks, lot sizes, and so forth. So currently, the Reidsville zoning ordinance allows townhomes by right in residential 12 or R12, residential 6 or R6, and the traditional neighborhood zoning districts. Townhomes are current, special use permits allow discretionary approval of certain land uses, and we've gone over this in our meetings on the UDO, what special use permits are. You guys have heard them. Basically, it allows some discretionary approval if they meet certain standards that are listed in the ordinance that require additional approvals that go through planning board into the city council. So it's saying the use is okay if they get this additional discretionary approval, which y'all have gone through several times. And admittedly, these special use permit requirements, as we know with our discussions on the new development code, can be cumbersome for people. It acts as a deterrent. It can, and it can be an additional barrier that might lead someone to, abandon it because they don't really know. If you introduce an uncertainty into the development approvals process, you're going to see less people trying it. So the proposed text amendment, as I've mentioned, is the terminology for single unit attached dwellings from townhomes. We currently allow single family, as I said, in O&I, so introducing townhomes by right into that zoning district is not incompatible. We already allow detached dwellings, so just allowing attached single family dwellings is in the same ballpark. You're just attaching them with a wall. They still own the land, so it's a close use. We are proposing a gentle increase in the allowed density to 6 units an acre from the currently allowed 3.2 units an acre in the RA20, R20, and RS12 districts. RA20 and R20 districts. So these are our low density residential districts. So they're characteristically low density. We just increased it from 3.2 to 6 units an acre, just to make it a little more realistic for people, because if you're building these units, you're going to be looking at they're going to try to recoup their investment. You're trying to make it a little bit more feasible for development, because 3.2 is extremely low density. So the density for RS12 and R12 will mirror each other at 10.5 units an acre, because RS12 is also a medium density district for single family, so it follows the medium density requirements for R12, so it makes sense that townhomes would also follow the medium density requirement in the RS12 district. That was one of the ones that we had looked at combining in the new development code, RS12 and R12 into one district, residential medium density. So the minimum lot size in RA20 and R20 are proposed at 30,000 square feet for the first 2 units, and then 3,007.1 square feet for each additional unit to align with the maximum allowable density of 6 units an acre. So that was just done for the purpose of matching. So if you're doing 6 units an acre, you're going to get that lot size. So, and then again for RS12 and O&I will to use the standards from the R12 district, the medium density districts. Since O&I is a little bit more dense. It's not low density entirely, but it's not high density. So we went with medium density standards for townhomes in that district. So for context, just some context on this, no other jurisdiction in the Triad region allows single-family attached dwellings in their low-density residential districts, even by special use permit. We researched this when we received some interest on this topic, and nobody else does this. Most in all the Triad, we looked at all Greensboro, Burlington, and their low-density districts. We were already actually a little bit more lenient that we allowed them with a special use permit. But by doing this, we actually moved to the forefront of housing, allowing different types of housing by right, by removing the special use permit requirement. So that does place us at the forefront beyond even people in this county. So, and other jurisdictions. The text amendment request is consistent with the Reidsville Land Development Plan under Goal 3, expanded housing. There's a considerable need for housing in Reidsville, as we know from our land development plan. The amendment aligns with goal number 3 by removing regulatory barriers for affordable housing and development regulation and assistance in addressing the need for more varied housing stock by allowing single unit attached dwellings as a by right use. And all residential zoning districts are able to ensure an expanded housing stock, or at least try to accommodate it. Can't ensure it, but we can try to accommodate it because the market drives investment, as we know. To try to make housing accessible to people of all income levels that's attractive to both developers and to residents. Planning staff recommended adoption of the proposed text amendment, and I'll be glad to answer any of your questions.
So is this kind of what we're going to have to do now, go back to the piecemeal approach instead of actually getting the UDO done?
Well, we've been requested by our elected officials to slow down the process. We're not stopping, but to get some additional feedback from the community and public input from from the general public and business owners and things before we move forward into the adoption phase. As you know, Senate Bill 382 also kind of threw us through a loop with having to revisit some of our standards and everything with the nonconformities issue and down zoning and so forth that we've discussed. So those two factors have led us to slow the process down a little bit. So we're looking at doing some more public engagement, probably in the beginning of toward the end of the summer. So we're still working on it. It's just been slowed down.
So the answer is yes, we're going back to the piecemeal process because that's going to be a whole nother at least year before that gets even remotely done. So, okay, that's fine. That's fine. So this is only for we're only talking about residential districts, not any
Well, O&I is not strictly residential.
True. Okay, so O&I and residential districts mainly is what we're talking about.
That
Okay.
is O&I, residential, because we already allow townhomes in the commercial district. Y'all recommended that amendment be approved and council adopted it back in the fall of last year, I believe.
Oh, okay.
This specific amendment only applies to residential districts and O&I.
I thought they had to be mixed use in downtown business. Okay, thank you. Anybody else have any other questions for Jason?
Did there need to be a change in how that reads, taking townhomes out and putting single family attached in what we approved back last fall?
Well, this amendment actually removes all mentions of townhomes throughout the ordinance.
Everywhere in the ordinance. This takes care of that
Yeah,
as well.
it's just the amendment itself is a catch-all because we wouldn't want to give you the whole copy of the ordinance wherever it says it. So it's all throughout the ordinance. It's just wherever it says townhome, we will change that. It's just a text change.
I got you.
I went through the only adjustments to standards and so forth, but everything else will just be changing the name of it to be consistent. Yes, sir.
And I definitely agree with the thought of we're going to need more housing in Reidsville. I think, they're building a 2,000 job battery plant between Danville and Eden. And I read something today on Channel 8's website where there's talk, nothing concrete, I don't think yet, but of a 10,000 job facility coming to Greensboro out there near the airport. So I think it would help to get Reidsville further out there to build housing.
And a wider variety, because we've seen a lot of interest for single-family detached, but this will be for just a different type, which we don't have a lot of. So.
Yeah. So I'm supportive of the change.
And I like the part where you said it does, it's accessible to people of all incomes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
I guess it doesn't look like there's anyone here who would like to speak for or against it.
Done with me?
I think it looks like everybody seems to be done with you. You're good. Thank you, James. Thank Jason.
Just want to make sure.
Yes. But it looks like no one is here to speak for or against
Unless
it.
the mayor wants to
Unless
speak.
anyone here would like to speak for or against it, please, you're welcome to come up and state your opinion or what you'd like to share with us, but it does not look like anybody's. All right, does anyone else on the board have any comments or any issues?
I think so.
Would someone like to make a motion to approve this?
Madam Chairman, I'll make a motion to recommend the proposed text amendment. That text amendment is T2025-01. Be approved based upon the information included in the board agenda packet, presented during the staff report, and as may be amended, incorporated into the motion to be included in the minutes.
Your second?
I second.
All in favor? Aye. Very cool. All right. All right, director's report. You are back up again, Jason.
Was it?
You're up again. Director's report.
Yeah, thank you. Just a few things. We didn't have a meeting last month. So the Gibbs Lake Road, conditional zoning and annexation were approved by City Council. And also last month, we had another annexation go through for the Reidsville Road lot, which you all heard the conditional zoning for the traditional neighborhood development back in the fall. So that annexation was submitted and approved. So now it's annexed, it's zoned. We did do the first review for their preliminary subdivision plat and sent them back a lot of comments. So they're working through TRC review with the technical review committee at this point. So they'll have to go through that and then do construction drawing review with Public Works for utilities and so forth. So that's where that project's at. Another update on another project that you all have heard about, Sherwood Glen. Those 40 or so single-family detached dwellings off of Sherwood Drive. Public Works is reviewing their construction plans. They cleared TRC back in the fall. I think I remember updating you all on that. So once they clear the construction plan review process, they'll have all city approval to begin construction on that. So they just resubmitted another draft today.
Great.
Moving right along.
Maybe we'll see some housing going up in the spring and summer.
And Liberty Road they have all their approvals for the first phase, for the first 149 homes. So we're hoping that they'll start working this spring. So we're just waiting on them. They have all local approvals, and I think they have all their state approvals as well at this point. So we're just kind of waiting on them to get started.
All right, great. Any board members like to make any comments or anything going on with you guys? Any questions for Jason?
How's the Holiday Loop project going?
Those apartments are up. I don't know if y'all driven by there recently, but
Okay, I haven't been
it's
by there.
impressive. They've got them framed all up with and everything, and still working through inspections as we go because it's a lot of units. Rockingham County's been very great to help us out with building inspections for us. We unfortunately lost our head inspector, so Rockingham County's been working diligently helping us out with that, and we really appreciate them for it. Yeah, it's coming along very fast. They're anticipating having the first building ready for move-in as soon as possible. I think they're trying to shoot for like the next month.
Wow, so they're probably already leasing.
I believe so. I believe they've already got a list from what I've heard. So.
We got a niece that's supposed to be moving in. So.
Okay. Wow. And I know that's 200 and I think 80 units, I think I remember.
It's like 214, I believe.
214.
216. Yeah, it's flying along. It's really impressive. If you have a chance, drive by and look at it.
Any other comments or questions or thoughts? All right.
Any business, commercial related coming to town that can be disclosed?
We've got some stuff in the pipeline. Hopefully I can update you on at the next meeting. Hopefully by the next meeting we'll be able to share some updates. We did do the first review for an addition at Dirty Laundry for the tap room downtown. TRC did the first review for that site plan. They're adding in a kitchen. So we completed that and sent them comments back. So hopefully they'll keep moving through that process and then we'll issue that approval. So, but the other thing, hopefully I can update you next month. I don't want to
understand.
things right now, but as we get closer, I'll be able to share.
And
Don't want to jinx anything.
that's and anything from the city manager reaching out to the folks that own the Penrose Mall that we talked
yeah.
about a couple months
They've
ago?
been working through that. I know that there's been a lot of eyes on that. They've been working, trying to get they've cited some things for them to repair. And so I think it's mainly like the roof deck and some things that they're going to have to fix. They've been actively working on that. So I know they're in the process of getting an electrical permit to do some electrical work there. So it's in progress.
About repaving the parking lot too.
That's a little bit separate issue. That's not something your maintenance code, your safety and whatnot goes into.
There is some movement, so that's good. There is some movement, so
Yeah,
that's good.
absolutely. Yeah.
Has Lucky City's kitchen gotten out of review here and it's at the county now? Is that correct?
Inspections is still, they sent comments to the designer earlier this week on the Lucky City site, or their building plans, excuse me, it was not a site plan. I know that county inspection sent them those comments, so once they finish that review, they'll be able to move forward.
I'm aware of that, but okay, cool, good. Thanks, that's helpful. All right, well, if anybody has anything else, then I think it is time to adjourn. All right, is that
Madam
okay?
Chairman, I'll make a motion.
All right, anyone, a second? All right, all in favor? Aye. All right, we are adjourned.